Hello everyone, I'm Alex Dykes. This is a 2014 Acura RDX 5-seat crossover vehicle, and this is a Graco Classic Ride 50 child seat. Today we're going to see how well 1, 2, and 3 child seats fit in the RDX, how well people and child seats fit in the RDX, and we'll hop in the trunk as well. Now a lot of people seem to think that the RDX is smaller than it is, but let's clear this one up right away. The RDX is about the same size as the Lexus RX 350, the Lincoln MKX, the Volvo XC60, the Cadillac SRX, the BMW X3, etc. So it is a solid mid-sized two-row crossover vehicle. One of the reasons that people seem to think the RDX is a little bit smaller than it is has to do with the side profile. Even though the roof height is fairly consistent front to rear, the glass in the car has this very curved nature to it. So it rises very rapidly at the front and it drops fairly rapidly at the back, and that's to give it a slightly sexier coupe-like look on the side. However, it really does cut down on the door opening in the back. That means that we have 8.1 inches of ground clearance down there, which is high for the segment, but we also have a door that is a little bit shorter than the average for the segment. That makes it feel just a little bit smaller, even though the inside of the RDX has more room than the rest of the competition. That is something important to keep in mind. So although the door opening is a little bit shorter than most of the competitors, the actual ceiling height inside is higher than most of the competitors. What does that mean for child seats? Well, the seat bottom cushion is a little bit higher off the ground than many crossover vehicles, so it means you can have to duck over a little bit less to install child seats in the car or to stick a kid in the child seat. But this lower roofline and lower door opening does mean that you may bop your head a little bit more on the roof when you're trying to do that. A trick worth noting is that in general, the larger the rear legroom figures in a vehicle, the more accommodating it's going to be for rearward facing child seats, because there's going to be more room between the two seat backs, the front seat backs and the second row seat back. That's true in the RDX. The RDX scores second in this category in terms of rear legroom, just behind the much larger Lincoln MKX. It's a good 2 to 3 inches more rear legroom than most entries in this segment, and most critically versus the RX 350 from Lexus that it most directly competes with, it's a good 1.5 inches more rear legroom. That means that you can safely install a rearward facing child seat like this and have this front seat all the way back in its tracks, suitable for a 6'5" passenger I had in the car. Over there on the driver's side, I have about 4.5 inches of room between my seat, adjusted for me at 6 feet tall, and that rearward facing child seat. It's much easier to do this in this vehicle than you could in most other entries in this segment. The RDX is wider than most of the competition, and that translates to a rear bench seat that's wider than most of the competition. It's really obvious when you take a look at this center seat, because the center seat's actually in the middle of the bench seat. A little bit of room between this outboard child seat and this seat, decent amount of room between that outboard child seat and the door in the car. This is different than you'll find in the narrower crossovers, something like a Volvo XC60 for instance. If I had these two child seats installed in a Volvo XC60, the center seat would actually be more on my side than in the middle of this rear bench seat. That means it would be a little bit more difficult for an adult to sit next to two child seats like this across the rear, buckle themselves in, etc. This is a good time for some general instructions on child seats. You should always consult your car's owner instruction manual as well as the owner and instruction manual for your child seats relating to proper installation in a vehicle. You should also try and find a certified child seat installer or certified child seat inspector in your area. There's some links in the description section of this video down below where you can go ahead and find one, because you want to make sure that they're installed properly in a vehicle, especially if you're getting a new car and you're a little bit unsure of changes between this and maybe a car that didn't have top tether anchors or latch anchors or something along those lines. Thanks to this wide rear bench seat, the RDX easily accommodates 3 child seats across the rear, and I have about 2 inches of room between the door and this child seat over here, as well as the door and this child seat on the other side of the vehicle. If this situation describes you, then I want to know how you have the time to watch YouTube videos. Go ahead and comment in that comment section down below and let me know. In addition to easily accommodating 3 child seats across the back of the RDX, we also have some other child-friendly features. We have a center console. It's a decent distance from that center child seat, meaning it's less likely to get kicked by your loved ones. And if we go down to the floor level, you can see that the driveline hump in the RDX is very minor. There's very little of a bump right there in the middle, and the floor mat goes all the way from one footwell all the way across that hump to the other side, meaning it's more easily able to pick up the mud and leaves and other things that people might kick in, especially that middle seat passenger. Thanks to a large, wide, and very upright rear bench seat, as well as rear legroom figures that are almost tops in this segment, the RDX scores very well when it comes to accommodating child seats. This is probably the best vehicle that I've tested so far. Some additional cargo carrying niceties that you'll find in the RDX are rear bench seats that fold not only from the inside of the vehicle via a latch right on the back of the seat itself, but also by little levers right here in the back. So it's much easier to fold these seats from either side if you need to. They're spring-loaded, so they just drop right open when you do that. Even with them upright, however, it's fairly easy to accommodate 3 child seats and some roller luggage. This is the largest roller bag you can carry on a domestic flight, and you could squeeze 2 of them in here if you had to, beneath an optional tonneau cover. The rear hatch in the RDX opens fairly tall, but if you're over about 6'1" or so, you may bump your head on this hatch. This is something to keep in mind. We do have the optional power tailgate because we have the technology package on this RDX tester. Again, I'm Alex Dykes, and this has been the 2014 Acura RDX 5-seat crossover. Go ahead and click that subscribe banner at the bottom of your screen to be updated on all of our latest videos. The full review on this 2014 Acura RDX will be coming out in just a few days, so go ahead and click that button at the end of this video to be taken over there. I also encourage you to like me on Facebook at facebook.com/AlexandAutos. You can send emails to alex@alexandautos.com. Share this video, like this video, comment on the video, tell me what you liked and didn't like about the RDX or about this video in general, and I'll see you next week.